thank you so much for chatting to us today. It's an absolute pleasure and an honour for us to be talking to you. This was 50 years the Railway Children.
And you haven't changed it.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Any favourite scenes, Jenny, that when you were filming, memories back then that sort of stand out as particularly special?
I have very strong memories of so much of the filmmaking because it was all packed into quite a short period of time. But one of the scenes that I loved doing, which was great fun, was the birthday scene with everybody there. Bernard was there, and Mother, and Gary, and Sally, and everything. And I had to sit on a camera stool, and I was moved around the room to make it look like I was floating.
Oh.
And of course, there was the lovely use in that of Bobby's theme, which was played right across it, and very, very sweet and lovely.
Oh, well, yes, it's 50 years on the 4th of March where Grandad was nominated for a BAFTA. I looked it up. It's the Anthony Asquith Memorial Film Music Award. So I don't know if that's still...
Yes, I did. I saw that. I don't know why that is, as opposed to it was just the film score.
Yes, I don't know.
Because there wasn't... They didn't list it as a film score. It's the Anthony Asquith Award, but lovely.
But he came
and he should have, the score is absolutely wonderful. I mean, the fact that everybody seemed to have a theme throughout it. It had a feeling almost to me of Edwardian musical. And Perks with his da-da-da-da-da-da, he was just running around. That's what was so clever with Lionel and working with Johnny Douglas with the music, was to be able to create something that actually almost was theatrical in a way. And I think that's why it's not dated, because it's not so trapped in its time, because it was already a little Edwardian drama that he managed to put together. And I think the music really supported that so well. And it's also very grand in places and wonderful and very emotional. I mean, lovely. That use of the Railway Children theme and the scene on the railway station at the very end when Father comes home, and it builds up. It becomes just notes, just literally just notes, and then it's suspended completely. And then there's just a little ding, and the strain and the sound all goes completely quiet, and you lose the soundtrack altogether, and then suddenly he appears from the mist. I mean, it's just absolutely beautifully done.
It's amazing.
It really is on the edge of being very sentimental, but it doesn't. It just holds back, and that's why I think it's even more touching.
One of the funny stories Grandad used to share with us was when he had to write for the band that plays badly on the platform, because he had to write every wrong note for them to play. And that was hysterical. So whenever I hear that scene, it always makes me laugh. He said it was really difficult.
Yes. Well, there's a trombone, we're getting terrible. Yeah, that's right. No, it was lovely. It's really lovely.
All the wrong notes. And I love the robbers theme. So when Peter's stealing the coal.
Yes.
That's a lovely, fast theme. It's a good theme to drive to, actually. It was labelled, Grandad labelled it the robbers theme, but it's...
The robbers, yes. The mine robbers. Yes.
The whole thing's just truly amazing.
It's not, that's right, he says he's not thieving, he's just mining.
Yes, because he took it from the top, is that right? He did it whichever way round it was, supposedly.
Yes. It's yes. Or he took it from the bottom, that was mining, as opposed to taking it from the top.
Yeah, whichever way round. I mean, there's so many morals in the Railway Children film.
I think that Nesbitt was she did two things. One was that she was able to show everything from a child's point of view, which makes it great fun, because adults become quite eccentric, really, because you're seeing it from a child's point of view. And also just establishing what seems to be right and wrong. They're trying, they're treading on a tightrope with the whole Edwardian view of things, what's correct and what's the right thing to do, with Perks, with his birthday party, and someone's pride and all of those things. But also behaving correctly. The children always want to behave correctly and do the right thing. And I think that's, except going on the railway line, of course, which is a terrible thing to do.
No. But Diana Sheridan played the mum so brilliantly as well, didn't she? And just the way she used to look at you children, and it was just magical in so many ways,
Yes. And she played her, I think, magnificently, which is what Peter says of her when she gets really angry, he says, isn't Mother magnificent when she's angry? Well, actually Diana she took that and she's magnificent through all of it. She's a wonderful, again, it's a character, it's something that the children can see. She's just wonderful in every way. I mean, when you read about Nesbit, it's based really on her as the writer as well. I mean, it's both her memories as being a child and her memory, of doing this journey as a married woman and her husband was away and everything. But she spent a lot of time not very well and in bed and not coping terribly well at all, which is when Roberta sort of took over. And I think she was very much a woman of that period, trying to be an independent woman, but actually reliant on the world that she lived in, where she felt frustrated because there wasn't very much she could do as a woman. She certainly couldn't make any changes in getting her husband back and all of those things. It's interesting because Nesbit was not actually a supporter of the suffragettes. And yet, I suppose because she led an independent life as possible as a writer and didn't feel it was necessary. But yes, it's so much of its period.
Oh no, it's awesome.
It's very much pre the wars as well. And I think that is beautifully reflected in the music. I mean, everything is very hopeful. And I think the writings were, as I say, they're pre-First and Second World War, and therefore you're always looking for a more, a perfect world. You're looking to make things better, because utopia was possible to people in the Edwardian times. And I think that since those world wars, we kind of see the flaws in humanity and that there's always going to be swings and we're never going to make a perfect world. But Railway Children does capture that sense of innocence and hope and childhood, and it's beautiful. Donnie Douglas's music absolutely captures all the characters and the feeling of the time and all of that.
Fantastic. Well, one of the things that I found just literally the other day, by luck actually, was a document that Grandad had where he said he managed to write in advance. He wrote first, he said, which was absolutely fantastic and not common apparently for those times. They used to get the composer to write 2 weeks afterwards and have about a couple of weeks to quickly write music, but he was able to write it from the story and encompass the character.
How lovely. Yeah, no, that's a lot of freedom, and I presume when it came to putting it onto tracks for the film, then of course one edits it accordingly and he would arrange it just so that it worked time-wise. But it's a lovely freedom to be able to know the characters in advance and create that and create the sequences. I suppose, of course, because the story is very much there as well. You've got the danger of the tree falling on the line. You've got all of those things that you can work on in advance.
Yeah, make the dramatic themes.
Yeah, so the CD that with when it says Lionel tells the story and all of that is.
Yes, there's a double CD. So there's one CD, Lionel telling the story, and then there's excerpts from the film. So we hear your voice and other characters. So it's a really quick way, I think 45 minutes or something, to get the story across. So Lionel filling the gaps in, but then excerpts of these magic scripts, parts of the script coming through. It's really special. That's one CD. And then the other CD is all the themes of the music together.
Yes, good. No, it is. It's lovely. It's interesting. There are two pieces of work. I mean, I've been working since I was a child. If we go on doing Call the Midwife much longer, Sister Monica Joan could see me as a child on television.
Oh, really?
Goodness me. So yes, because I started very young. But there are two programmes that I've been associated with which have touched people in a very particular way. And one is the Railway Children and the other is Call the Midwife. And I still get people talk to me about the Railway Children. And the lovely thing about it is it's the association with a story that they love. So it's never a kind of oh goodness me, oh you're an actress, you're in the Railway Children. It's a love for the Railway Children, which is, do you know what I mean? There's a different thing from anyone being at all impressed by what one's doing and being in the film. They are touched by the film and they associate you with that, and therefore I always end up having a very nice conversation about the film, what it's meant to somebody else. And that happens with Call the Midwife, is that people want to talk about the programme. And their aunt was a midwife, or they remember Poplar in those times, or there's some kind of attachment to it, or some story that will mean something, and people want to talk about it, and I love that. I think it's wonderful. As I say, there's the two things. There's the two pieces of work where people have actually talked about the overall more than anything else.
Yes, no, fantastic.
And it's wonderful when someone creates something that has a feeling of nostalgia in it, of remembering, which is done beautifully with that Railway Children. The overall theme of the Railway Children theme has an absolute sense of remembering a perfect summer, remembering childhood, remembering. I mean, it really is about bringing something back. And that's, I have to say, one of the things that's with Paul the Midwife, the theme that they have at the beginning immediately makes you think, oh yes, all those years ago, and remembering again, remembering something, remembrance.
Oh, anyway, it's been lovely, Jenny. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jenny. Thank you for your time.
Cool. And we'll catch up again. And I'm so glad you called.
Thank you. Thank you so much.